synonymous with modernization, human rights, and democracy. In fact, the term development from a Eurocentric paradigm has been contextualized as a catch-22 phrase, encompassing all the programs and initiatives fashioned to move Africa forward. While it is important to address some of the issues on the ground, it is also important to question the asymmetrical power relation in which development advocates have been advancing for generations now when it comes to affairs in Africa. This chapter attempts to elucidate principles of development that are rooted in indigenous ontology, epistemology, and axiology to advance some of the key actions Africans need to take to control their development agenda. With this undertaking, I delineate the power of an indigenously anchored approach to transformative African-centered development. I examine how notions of African communalism have been instrumental in sustaining communities and development possibilities for Africa. I conclude this chapter by exploring the implication of an indigenous African approach to grassroots development. So as you can tell, this paper is really a chapter from a book. As I started thinking about writing this chapter on development, one image that easily came to mind is of some young boys whom I briefly met in Mombasa, Kenya last summer. These boys had handcrafted, magnificent battery-operated toys from scrap metal, wood, and neon lights. It was remarkable seeing these boys intently playing with their toys. I remember noticing them from a distance and then quickly walking closer to watch them carefully as they played with their self-made toys. As an African from Somalia, I had known that boys usually make their play toys themselves, and I was impressed with the handiwork of these young boys. I even inquired about how these machines worked, a query they gladly answered. After gaining their approval to take pictures, I took a few photos of their toys to show to my friends in Canada when I returned. These boys' stories reveal the ingenuity of Africans to use local resources for their development needs. But these stories reveal a real tragedy. What will happen to these boys' creativity and ingenuity when they grow up? Will the education system in Kenya nurture these qualities to produce excellent engineers who are ready to build African-made cars? Or will they be added to the list of casualties of African intellectuals whose creativity and indigeneity to utilize local resources for their development needs are sacrificed on the altar of colonized European education in Africa? How can the education system in Africa be restructured to harness the intellectual creativity of African learners? As a proud African of Somali ancestry, I see the promise of the human capital, the engineering, the technological innovation.
2, 1, and...
Cleanup campaign!
You're seated, you're eating a banana. Next thing you see someone going like, 1 meter syndrome. I want this to be away from me, but it's supposed to be 1 meter away because the 1 meter is from about this 1 meter syndrome. So if we stop that, this environment will be kept clean.
Then but it might take 3 and behind.
Chocolate and caramel, ooh-wee. The sun kissed you and said, ooh-wee. Even the money said, ooh-wee.
We're here at the Africa University Cleanup Campaign. Everything's amazing, it's beautiful. We're having this place almost as clean as your minds because at this Christian institution, we're dedicated to purity, focus, and integrity. Ubuntu, you are because I am.
Hello everyone, my name is Charlotte Simoto, a fourth-year student of International Relations and Diplomacy at Africa University. So today we're tackling one of the biggest myths about Africa, that it needs foreign aid to survive. So stick around till the end because it isn't just about Africa. It's about rethinking how all of us approach global development. Let's dive in. So let's start with the hard truth. Africa has received over 1.2 trillion in foreign aid since the 1960s. But here is a paradox. Countries that rely most on aid often grow slowest. Check Liberia in the 2000. A World Bank study found that 90% of health aid vanished into thin air due to corruption and bureaucracy. But it's not just about corruption. Aid often comes with strings attached. For example, tied aid forces countries to buy overpriced goods from donor nations. Imagine donating a water pump to a village but making them pay 10 times the price for spare parts from Europe. It is like giving someone a parachute but keeping the ripcord. And there is the biggest problem: dependency. In the 2000s, Rwanda relied on aid for 60% of its budget. But when donors threatened cuts over political disputes, Rwanda said enough. They splashed aid dependency to 45% by investing in tourism, tech, and good governance. Today, Rwanda's economy is growing at 7% a year, faster than the US or Europe. And now the lesson. As Zambia economist Damisa Moyo put it, aid is a ladder. You take it to climb out of a hole, but you don't keep leaning on it forever. So, if aid isn't the answer, what is it? Let's flip the script.
Welcome to the Valley of Dreams, where your dreams do come true. Africa University. They only come true if you choose the right degree, an undergraduate in international relations and diplomacy. This degree is taught by the best lecturers that Zimbabwe has to offer, the likes of Dr. Rusero, Dr. Pinduka, and Dr. Dinesa. They're not the only ones though. More. We have absolutely everything to give you. Human resources, marketing, journalism, and my personal favorite, diplomatic endeavors. The degree of international relations does not limit you. You can be absolutely anything you would want to be. And to you, my future ambassador, as the Vice Chancellor of Africa University once said in Matriculation 2024, leadership begins on your knees. Don't forget to pray now.
Imagine a world where Africa doesn't just export raw cocoa beans, it makes the chocolate. Where startups in Lagos complete the Silicon Valley, where solar farms power entity cities. Guess what? That world is already here. Or we can also look at the African Continental Free Trade Area. It's connecting 54 countries into single market of 1.2 billion people. By 2035, this could boost Africa's income by 450 billion. That's like adding another Nigeria to the continent's economy. Then there's Kenya, M-Pesa, a mobile money app that lets people transfer cash via text message. No banks, no paperwork. Today, it processes 12 billion a year, proving Africa doesn't need Western models to leap-proof ahead. And let's not forget stability. Morocco's Noro solar plant, the world's largest, powers 1 million homes. Kenya gets 47% of its energy from geothermal and wind. Africa isn't just growing green, it's skipping the fossil fuel era entirely. But my favorite example, Nollywood. Nigeria's film industry started with shaky cameras and VHS tapes. Today it has 7 billion juggernaut, producing more films than Hollywood. No aid required, just hustle, creativity, and a continent hungry for its own stories.
And you don't start when you're a woman, you start now when you're a little girl. Because as you get older, the opportunities are less. But when we are 23, when I was 23, all doors will open. I can do anything to come back and sit there and join the clubs that matter and stop spending time clubbing and being tired the whole weekend and fail to do more work. I did that. I'm not talking about something I don't know. I knew all the clubs when I was in part 3. All of them. When I was in part 1, I did not sleep no weekend. I was clubbing. And do you know what I got for my grades? threes and repeats. And then when I now finally got to part 3, 4, and I thought I could miraculously become a doctor, does that happen?
So in this last segment, we are just going to talk about what Africa needs. So Africa doesn't need saviors, it needs partners, and it ain't just feel good talk. Let's break down what really partnership looks like. First, trade over aid. In 2021, the EU signed a 170 billion deal with Africa focused on renewable energy and agriculture. Unlike old aid models, this is about investing in startups and infrastructure that benefits both sides. Then there is diaspora. Africans abroad send home 95 billions a year, double the amount of foreign aid. Apps like AfriX, founded by Nigerian brothers in Silicon Valleys, let families send money across borders in seconds. And it's not just cash. Doctors like Ola Brown are returning to Nigeria to build hospitals and train local staff. Even China's controversial Belt and Road Initiative offers lessons. Yes, Kenya's Standard Gauge Railway left the countries in debt, but it also created 30,000 jobs and cut travel time from Mombasa to Nairobi in half. The key, Africa must negotiate win-win deals that protect sovereignty. Grassroots partnerships are thriving too. In Tanzania, off-grid solar works with villages to build pay-as-you-go solar grids. No waiting for government or donors, just communities powering their own futures. So what can you do? If watching this in Europe or America, buy African products. Coffee from Ethiopia, chocolate from Ghana, fashion from Senegal. Every purchase supports jobs. If you are a leader, invest in education and fight corruption. And if you are African, keep holding your governments accountable. The 88 billion Africa loses yearly to tax evasion and graft. That's schools, hospitals, highways stolen from our future. Lastly, if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Africa is not poor. It is a continent rich in resources, talent, and ambition. What it needs isn't charity, it's fair trade, smart investment, and respect. So let's rethink how we talk about Africa. Share this video with someone who still sees the continent through a lens of pity. Subscribe for more stories of global innovation. And hey, drop a comment below what African product or solution inspires you. Thanks for watching. Remember, the future isn't something we wait for, it's something we build. See you next time.